Totally agree.
We know because we work with leaders, and we know that many leaders come under tremendous stress working in businesses and leading businesses. We know that. So for this is for you, Oli. How can a leader use anchoring to control stress
Yeah,
in key business moments?
I love that question. Here's the first thing, and it's before you even start to anchor in anything else, is you have to understand the difference between pressure and stress. They are not the same. They are linked, but not the same. Pressure is healthy, stress generally is unhealthy. And there's two parts to managing stress. When people are under stress, the first part is that they're underskilled, so they don't really know at an expert level or a competent level what they're doing, or they're so skilled that they're bored and it's like, I've got no worth because I've been doing this for so long, it's second nature. All right. So if you're going to give someone a task or an action or a responsibility, make sure it fits that sweet spot where they're just pushed a little bit, but they are competent enough and they consistently learn more and more as they're going through it. And then the second element of stress is time. If they've got too much happening at the same time, you will see this. Lots of people get stressed because they can't prioritize, they can't cope, they don't know what's first, second, or last. Equally, if they're bored out of their minds, they're not going to be particularly motivated, and that's a different form of stress. So we want to pressurize people in a way that's healthy because we like to feel alive. We like that feeling that when we wake up, we're just going to be pushing our limits a little bit. We like to grow. So the first thing is to anchor in that feeling of healthy pressure, right? Now you could call that progress, advancement, personal growth. Whatever you want to call it, development, improvement. So you've got to find a key phrase to name the emotion that you want to anchor in. And I always look at advancement. Every day I want to advance as an individual. I want to progress as an individual. And what does that look like? And to anchor that in, what I always do, and I promise you this is a technique that I share and I do, and Chris will back me up on this, is that even with things like the summit that we're producing, it's about what's going to happen in 6 months when we run this summit. What does it look like? And you make it really rich in its text. So it's the theatre of the mind. You make it rich. So what's the colour of it, right? What are you noticing? Is it moving? Is it still? Who's there? How are they acting? How are they engaged? And you make it as positive, resourceful, and it resonates as much as possible as a visual stimulus to connect to. And then you link that to the auditory. So that's, what are you hearing? What are you saying to yourself? What's the praise that people are giving you, right? What's the soundtrack almost to this event in your mind? And then how does all this make you feel? And if it's progress, where is the progress in your body? And give it a color, give it a shape, right? Give it a texture, give it a movement, give it a weight and a heat. And I know it sounds really obtuse and weird to do these things, but this technique is called submodality reframing. So if you can see, hear, and feel the event in the future, in your mind, in the theatre of your mind, and you relive this every single day, and it's fun to do this, by the way. You just spent, it's mindfulness, really. It's just projecting into the future you and what you're doing and that event itself, and then you anchor it in. And what I tend to do is I get a pen, genuinely I get a pen, and I just anchor it in just by pressing the top of this pen. And anyone that knows me will see me when I'm presenting or when I'm thinking about things, I will do this. Other people just put their forefinger and their thumb together, or even it's just a word that you put in your mind. And when you process that over and over again over a period of time, suddenly you can just fire that anchor automatically at an unconscious level because you've pre-prepared your mind to see it when that happens, and it just floods back into your nervous system, and it's connecting your unconscious and your conscious mind without having to think about it.
Wow, that's quite amazing. That's amazing. Chris, would you like to comment there?
I genuinely don't feel I need to come in. The way Ollie's described it there, I've been privileged enough to be taken through that exercise by Ollie himself. He talks about his pen. My thumbs go together, like they come together and they squeeze together. That's my anchoring for for when I'm looking at progress, when I'm looking, I use that when I'm really struggling to overcome a task or focus the pressure rather than the stress of where I need to get to. That helps my brain just refocus into the path I need to take. So I don't need to add to it. It's such a powerful technique. It's a technique that since I've learned it, I've used it, we'll be using it on the summit that Ollie mentioned as well. It's going to be such an experience for anyone that's never done it before. But we've got to connect to our emotions and how we feel to help us. It's a helpful thing to do. People hide away from their emotions. In leadership, they go, "Oh, I can't talk about how I'm feeling because I've got to lead this company. I've got to be seen to be strong, to be brave." Just be vulnerable. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're scared, that's all right, because everyone's been through that at some point. And actually, your team will really respect the fact that you stand there going, "I haven't got a clue. I'm scared by it."
Yeah.
But let's imagine what it could feel like. Let's get ourselves into that state instead, rather than dwelling on how we're feeling right now. It's good to feel scared, but how would we rather feel about it? And it makes such a huge difference.
It does.
Apart from anchoring, has there been a moment, your personal moment? Two of you love NLP. Has there been a time you tap into the principles of NLP in your own personal life to move beyond a very difficult situation?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. 2012, the recession. I can categorically tell you now that was a tough year for me. I had a training and coaching business. I had 5 staff. I had an office, a training room. I was doing really well. I had a nice car, all those sorts of things. I was flying, and my business was worth quite a lot of money. Then the recession hit, and I had to close it down overnight. Literally, I'm not kidding, overnight. I had to respond in the morning and make my friends, who were my colleagues, redundant. And I had to send my car back, shut the office down, and then I had nothing. And I had to sit down with myself. And that was the moment when I went, okay, so you're teaching people all of these tools and techniques in that toolkit of the mind, right? Now's your time to put a spotlight on yourself and start taking action on that. And the first thing I did was nothing. I know it sounds weird, but I took a month out because I needed to rest. And in that month, I just did nothing apart from think exactly what we just talked about. Think about what my future is going to look like and how I can rebuild my business in a different way. And then after that month, what I did is I reached out to other role models in my life and I modeled their advice and their principles. Okay. And then what I had to do then is create the outcome, visualize it, then reverse engineer it. It's called outcome architecture, basically. It's like building a house. You don't just turn up and build a house. You visualize what it's going to look like. And then the foundations are probably 50% of the time spent, right? And then you have to understand that you have to start putting the walls together, the windows. So that's what I did. I reverse engineered the outcome with a strategy. And I spent the next sort of 2 months after the first month of rest designing what this business was going to look like. And within 12 months, I had the best financial year I'd had ever. Because I reached out to all my existing clients that had used my business before, and I built my network, and I kept on just building and building my network, and I tapped into it. And I used government funding and grants that were available, and I networked through with people who could access those grants and those networks. And it was fantastic. It was an amazing 12 months, but it taught me so much about resilience and not complaining and getting up off the floor and going again, but stronger with the lessons that you've learned.
An incredible story, incredible turnaround.
Thank
right
you.
there.
Yeah.
Relying on what you have been teaching others, and coaching others on. That couldn't have been any better, That you had to prove the techniques, you had to prove the tools, yourself. That is so good. Chris, have you had any personal such story before?
Yeah, I'm probably living one. As we're speaking, I am living an experience of what I teach. And
Yes.
I think it's one thing we often say to people is failure is feedback. People see when something doesn't go the way you intended, people instantly sometimes go inward on themselves. They might jump to the defensive. So if I received feedback, that was it. I jumped on the defensive. Instantly, I tried to justify everything. But actually, that what you're being told is feedback, and it can help you grow. It can help move you forwards. I'm working towards a specific personal goal this year. I did my own outcome architecture of this is the outcome I want. This is my intention. These are the behaviors I need. We call it bio. You can work through bio in any particular way. You've got the behaviors you put in, the intention behind those, and the outcome that's produced. Through a conversation with my wife recently, I got feedback that I was making her and the family feel different to how I was intending. So the behaviors that I've been putting into my own self-development, my own progress, working towards this outcome that I've set myself, hasn't had the outcome I intended. The intention was there. It was a positive intention. I was trying to build, I'm trying to build something that is fantastic for not just those that work with me, but for my family as well. And it was having the complete opposite impact at home than I thought it was. And the feedback I received was heartbreaking, because I've made my wife feel a little bit neglected and crap recently, and that is by no way the intention I incurred. Now, I could have instantly jumped to the defense and gone, what are you on about? I'm not doing that. Don't you realize how hard I'm working and I'm doing it all for you? I could have gone inwards on myself and started really beating myself up about it and gone, well, what's the point? You can't get it right. But I didn't. I sat there and I listened to everything she had to say, and I'm reflecting on it. I can't tell you what the outcome is at the moment because I'm still reflecting on it. This conversation happened, if I'm honest with you, in the last 24 hours, and I didn't think I'd be talking about it. But I now know that, okay, the behaviours I've put in haven't produced the outcome I want. The intention is still a positive one, I believe. And from the conversation we had last night, the outcome's still what we want. I just need to look back and readjust the behaviours and the actions I'm taking. I need to prioritise a few elements. So yeah, failure is feedback. However hard it may be, you've got to look inwards on yourself and go, okay, the behaviours I'm putting in here, they're positively intended. It's not giving me the outcome I want. How can I restructure? How can I take that outcome and, like Ollie did, do your outcome architecture and go, okay, so if those steps didn't work, what other choices, what other options are there? And I guess at the moment I'm doing what Ollie did back there, where he paused for a month with his business. I'm currently in that pause and reflecting moment of going, okay, just assess the situation, understand it from my wife's perspective, my kids, mine, everyone's. And then what can you use this information you've been given? How can you use it? It's not failure. It's just a little stumble in the road. How can you now use it to propel you forwards? So there's a personal story that I wasn't expecting to talk about.
And a powerful one at that, a very powerful one. There's hardly anything that can compare to feedback. Whether it's good feedback or bad feedback, it makes no difference. It's about what you're learning in the process. It's about what you do with that process, the process you derive from the feedback. And I think the greatest help we can receive as coaches is feedback from our clients, and then it will inform the next move, the next client, the next progress we make. And that's it. And that's it. And that is what, two of you have actually articulated so powerfully in this, Now, two of you are, regularly holding international summits. And like one of the summits that's coming up this year in November, which you're going to talk to us a little bit about that summit. But the question I would like you to look at here is, have you noticed a summit moment where a participant had a breakthrough and what followed?
I can take that to start off with, and genuinely a lot, right? Because breakthroughs can be small to start off with, and then they can escalate, or they can be huge monumental shifts, okay? And I was running a Business Brain Summit. This is actually probably I think it's about 10 years ago, actually. And there was a guy on there, and he's become a friend of mine, actually, because of this. And this is an absolutely true story, and he's well worth a conversation with, actually. And I'll name him. His name's Kieran, and he was unemployed at the time, and he used to work for Watford Football Club as a journalist, and he'd been made redundant, and he'd applied.
Sorry, can you say that again, Oli?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you repeat that?
So,
yes, I didn't quite hear
what
you were saying. Yes.
So he'd been made redundant as a journalist at a Premier League football club. So he loved this job. He was so passionate about it. But he'd applied for the summit, so he came on the program for me. We just worked through some of the activities that we shared with you and some of the tools in the toolkit. And he was lacking in confidence. So we rebuilt his confidence. We helped him reframe how he thought about himself. We got him to do the outcome architecture. We got him to anchor in some more resourceful states. And we got him to understand the modeling. So taking people who've really achieved greatness and success in certain areas. But one of the key things I got him to focus on were his values and what was important to him. And he was passionate about women's football. It was his area of expertise. Lo and behold, I can tell you now, he is the UK's leading women's football journalist, and he's written a book on the subject, and he works with many football clubs for female footballs in terms of the expertise he provides in the journalism of that particular topic and bringing it to the forefront of people's imaginations. And now female football is a huge commodity. 10 years ago, it didn't exist. Now, it's actually really quite compelling as a viewing property for most TV companies. And so he's actually been really prominent in women's football in transforming it from something that was a very silent thing to being quite a big business now, actually. And Kieran won't feel afraid of me saying this, but I'm so proud of him because he was on the floor when he attended the summit, and now he's got this whole new career that he's created himself. And that's the bit that's really important.
Wow. Very compelling indeed. Very compelling. Chris, have you witnessed any such moment in one of the summits?
I think, as Ollie said, breakthroughs happen all the time. It depends on what scale you're looking for. At the end of the day, a breakthrough, I find, is quite a deeply personal thing. Just the ability to have, there was one person that I'm thinking of right now, and she never went for promotion. She never asked for a pay rise because she just didn't feel that her voice would be heard in what was a male-heavy boardroom, essentially. And I just remember, and this is a really simple example, but a week after a summit we did, an email coming through just saying, from everything I learned, I went and had a conversation with my boss. They sat me down in front of the board of directors. I've just been made operations director. I've just been given a pay rise. And to this day, she sat on that board of directors herself, which frankly is amazing because it was, and this does happen, but it was a male white heavy boardroom. They've now got an alternative voice sat around that table and the business is thriving. And it's progressed further from there. But that to me was a massive breakthrough. A simple email landing in my inbox just going, you gave me the ability to sit down and structure a conversation that has led to this. But the breakthrough wasn't necessarily the promotion. For, you know, she could have not been given the promotion. The breakthrough was she'd never been able to bring herself to have that conversation before, and she managed to have that initial conversation. Yes, what came after that was amazing as well, but she managed to have the conversation she'd put off. She'd worked there for 8 years. She'd never put herself forward for a promotion and never asked for a pay rise. If she was offered something, she was very grateful for it, but she never put herself forwards for it. We've got to back ourselves. And she had the ability after working with us to back herself. That's a breakthrough.
I've been a reluctant participant to any of the summits, but what happened in the summit brought a transformation. Have you had such a feedback?
We get a lot of those people, actually, because what tends to happen is their partner brings them with them, right, which is kind of cool. We like that. But also we do have organizations and businesses that bring people, pay for people to come to the summits, and they can be quite reluctant at times. Okay. So yes, I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that I can call them friends now, whereas beforehand they might have perceived myself or Chris as enemies, because we do change the paradigms within their minds, right? And you know what this industry is like: coaching, mindset development, training,
Yes.
leadership, NLP, mindfulness, meditation. There's two types of people that embrace it and people that call it woo-woo or silly. But now that neuroscience is combining and connecting the two avenues, people are much more open to it. Okay. And I've had people, I mean, I'm not going to use any names, but I had a director at Mercedes who came onto one of the summits and was literally the guy in the corner with his arms folded, right? But now I can categorically tell you that he keeps in touch with me, and I regularly check in with him with some form of coaching every single year, just to recalibrate where he's at. And he's become a real advocate of the summit because it did change his leadership approach. When I say leadership, his leadership approach to himself and his relationships that he was having, not just at work, but in his personal life, because he was the stereotypical middle-aged man who knew everything, he had the Mercedes on the drive, the kids in private school, the holiday home abroad, and life was good, right? But actually his relationships were suffering. And that's one thing that we had to reframe and recalibrate.
What is that one moment that you would have observed over time in course of these summits? What is that moment that shifts the energy in the room during these summits? You know it, and the participants know it, that something has just shifted now. Do
Chris,
you
do you want to take
find
that?
that as a regular occurrence in the summits?
My personal observation is the energy in the room is changing quite consistently and constantly during these events, because everyone's experiencing it through their own eyes, through their own ears, through their own feelings. So someone over there might have what you call a eureka moment, and it might ripple out to the people sat around them. Something might happen on stage that ripples out across the audience. But I think there's a lot of energy change, as you know, with this next one we're running over 3 days. There's going to be a ripple of energy changes across the days, hopefully ending in some massive crescendo, you know, as you'd love to, because that would help, you know, sell the next one even better. But ultimately, I think it's down to every individual will have those energy change moments, those wow moments.
I think in addition to that,
Yeah,
Chris, we get the audience involved. This
yeah,
is not a 3-day lecture. This is lots of really powerful individuals sharing their knowledge, but also sharing it through action. So we have what we call brain boosters, where we get the participants to participate. And of course, people will participate and get a lot more from certain activities than others. But I can tell you now, within an hour, we will get people moving. We will get people thinking differently. And one of the best exercises we do is about shifting that perception of how they see things. And we teach them the neuroscience of how everything is deleted, distorted, and generalized in their reality, and how they see reality is unique to them. And you can feel the silence hit, and then you can feel when we get them to collaborate with each other, you can feel the energy lift when they start going, oh my God, I didn't realize. And how do you see it? And they tell them something completely different to what they thought. And suddenly this dialogue happens, and then we can't shut them up because they're going, really? That's how you saw it? And we love that energy shift in people suddenly learning and growing together as a community. This is the High Performance Summit community. It's not like a workshop or a lecture. We want to continue the work after the event. So they're part of the community. And then they can teach each other as they're going through experiences. Because a lot of them are business owners, a lot of them are parents, a lot of them have had success and they want more because they're in the second or third stage of their life and they've gone, what's next? Well, they can help each other out. They don't need us to do it. They should have the tools in the toolkit to allow them to move forward as a community. And that's what we love about it.
I think that's the biggest thing about what we do is that life is learning.
Mm,
They spend 3 days with us. The real learning doesn't happen until they leave us and they start living it and they put it into practice and they see what happens. There will be learning on the 3 days, don't get me wrong. We help them experience these things, but they've got to keep living it, keep learning, keep being curious, keep finding more. Come together as a community, support each other, share those stories on the 3 days and beyond. And let's just keep learning together, keep progressing, as I said earlier.
yeah.
Like that line, Chris, life is learning
Mm,
and long life learning.
yeah.
It's incredible. I like that line.
Mm,
I like that line. Now, we want to talk a little bit about this particular summit that is coming up in Spain. Could you tell us a little bit about that summit and
yes.
why you decided to go to Spain for it instead of holding it here in the UK?
I will let Ollie take the lead on this one because let's be honest, it was your brainchild and I've come along for the ride.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, let me be really brutally honest, is that I live in Spain, which is why it's being held there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in November, it's rather nice in Spain. People don't think it is, but it's lovely. It's just the right temperature and it's just the right energy that we need. By the beach, near the mountains. Can you imagine? Wonderful, right? And we've picked Los Monteros, which is a really amazing venue. It's stunning. So we want the environment to be right. Okay, it's the right time of year, just before Christmas and the New Year, to get people going with that. And it's been something that I've been really passionate about for the last 20 years. And we run workshops and we run summits, but this one, the High Performance Summit, is only for we call it the one percenters. Okay. So it's limited to 30 people because we know that the minds in that room will be the right type of caliber that we're looking for. Because the High Performance Summit, we're sharing some ideas, some tools, some neuroscience, some behavioral psychology that is cutting edge and pioneering. And a lot of people are closed-minded and they won't accept it. Okay. We want the people who have achieved some form of success in their lives at some level, whether that be a parent or whether that's having a business or whether that's inventing something or an athlete or whatever it is. And they just want to go, I need to know more. I want to know what the next stage of my life is, or I just need to keep on optimizing my mindset. And so we're really excited about it. It's 3 days in November, and each day has a specific topic. So, day one is about mindset and it's about understanding what this supercomputer can achieve, right? And I said optimize, it's maximizing all those opportunities that your mind can create. And then day two is putting that into practice and really going for some of these tools and techniques linking to day 3, which is about outcome architecture. So what's your goal, and how can we connect the first 2 days to making that goal happen for you and becoming a new version of yourself? Not necessarily this famous quote, the best version of oneself, but it's not necessarily the best version, but it's the new reflective version that can take you into a new age in your life that is going to be maximizing your happiness, health, and your success. That's the key to it. Anything to add,
You
Chris?
remind us of the dates you've set in November for this summit.
Go
Yeah,
on,
we're doing
Chris.
it on the. I'll do the admin. It's the
Go on,
it's
Chris.
the 14th, 15th, and 16th of November in Marbella, Spain. As Ollie said, it will be a much more inspirational and exciting environment than holding it in the UK in November when it's dark and probably raining.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
have to have the right environment. We have to have the right people. That's why we've limited it, as Ollie said, to 30 people on this occasion, because we want to bring the right minds together 14th, 15th, 16th of November to just make magic, I guess, make magic happen. It's not magic because actually it's sustainable. If you work at it, it's sustainable and you can take it into that life and you can keep progressing yourself to be the best, the best version of yourself for the next stage of your life. As Ollie said, it's not become the best version of yourself because that sounds like you're finished. It's not.
Yeah.
You're progressing yourself. You've already had fantastic success, but let's start doing those fine-tuned moments and let's keep nudging ourselves to be better, to achieve whatever the next thing is. And it doesn't have to be some grandiose thing. The next version of yourself could be, for you, compared to this person over here, a little step, but to you, it's a huge step. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got some amazing guest speakers as well,
yeah.
haven't we, Chris? Right. So, we've got brain surgeon, neuroscientists, entrepreneurs, all sharing their knowledge and expertise, and actually also giving away some of their expertise for free as a complementary benefit to the summit. So Dr. Osama is very happy to give a amazing health check before and after the summit, which tests your nervous system around stress and recalibrates how your chakras align, essentially. So that could be really interesting and cutting edge for a lot of people.
So if anyone misses this summit, you're missing quite a lot from what you have just said right there.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you very much.
And is there any particular mindset hack that you think works all the time?
I don't. I'm gonna come out of it. I don't like hacks
Oh, you don't like hacks?
because my perspective of a hack, my perception of a hack, they're short term. They're short term. People say, "Oh, I want a quick hack. I want a quick fix." That's great, but it's not about a quick hack that's going to just get you over the next hurdle. We're looking for things that are going to keep you going. So I don't like the word hack, is what I should say.
Okay.
But if I'm looking for a quick tip or tool that someone could start using on a daily basis, a habit that they could, bring into their routine. I mean, there's loads, but one of the smallest one is look for the opportunity in everything. Be curious about everything. If something comes up to you, be curious about it. Actually, I want to give you a different tip. Pause. Just pause more. I don't think people pause enough.
Yeah.
They're too quick to answer. Their phone beeps and they pick it up as quick as they can to look. Just pause. Just pause for a moment. And then when you do pick it up and read it, pause before you reply. Because in that pause, you discover so much more about yourself as well as about what the other person's saying or whatever situation you're in.
Yeah. So there seems to be some wisdom then in when transitioning from one thing to another, the need to pause and ground yourself before you move into the next thing. There, it seems to be, a wise thing to do then from what you've said. Am I right?
We've got to interrupt the patterns that our brains create for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we receive and then we respond. And the problem is the response isn't always helpful to what you want to achieve. So that pause is breaking that pattern and giving you time to reflect. So receive, break the pattern, reflect, and then respond. And that's why I think a pause is so important.
And can I just add to that? This links to what you mentioned earlier, Chris, which is the bio technique: behavior, intention, outcome. There's lots of people who are good people that have bad behaviors, right? Including us. We'll all have bad behaviors. We might drink too much. We might get angry when someone says a certain word, or we might be procrastinators or reluctant to take chances. Okay? But stop focusing on the behavior. The most important thing is focus on the intention. So what are you intending to achieve? Why is this outcome important to you? What will it change in your life? What will it give you that's an addition to? What will it remove from your life that you don't want? And then what you do is, again, the theatre of the mind, you say to yourself, right, if I'm going to achieve this outcome with that positive intention, let's label 3 core behaviors that I need to inherit into my everyday life, and just do those 3 behaviors consistently every day. And soon enough, with that intention, you'll achieve your outcome.
Wow. What's success mean? You've heard over and over again that you would wish was not there because they're doing more harm than good. What success means needs to die.
Hmm.
I just want to make it clear to people that you don't have to work harder to get what you want.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
People, especially in especially in business, given the podcast and the conversation we're having, I'm going to just keep working every hour of the sun and keep grinding, and eventually my business will pay me back. The rewards will come in the future. But what are you missing in the present day? Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there are extra hours to stick in. Sometimes you do have to graft. That's fine. They might be part of the choices, but you don't have to work harder. If anything, work smarter.
That's it.
It's a quote that people probably have heard many a time. Don't work hard, work smart. But there's a reason for it. And it's probably to try and kill that myth of I've got to work every hour under the sun to make this work. That's a myth.
Yeah, it's one of society's myths. There are many of them, and that's that, we do bring children up to believe that they've got to work now in the modern age, literally 24 hours a day to be successful, and miss out on sleep. I get up and I go to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I go to bed at 12 and I work, so many hours a day. It's nonsense because you'll burn out. Don't ever do that. Work smarter, not harder.
Very well. What's your favorite high performance book?
I can start with that.
Okay.
Matthew Syed, book called Bounce. Have you heard about it? So Matthew Syed is a journalist. I think he's in the Times. He's written many good books, but Bounce is about the nature-nurture debate, right? And he was an ex-Olympian table tennis champion as well, to add to his portfolio. But he takes you an exploration of, is it nature, is it nurture, success and mindset? And actually it's a combination of both.
Very well. And Chris?
I think for me, and I'm not just saying this. So Ollie, cover your ears for a moment because I'm going to give you a compliment. But Ollie's book, The Business Brain, was a transformative moment for me. So when I first met Ollie and I got to read his book, it takes what we do in our work and it translates it beautifully so that people can actually understand it and apply it, in a way that is helpful. It's a toolkit in itself. Because neuroscience can be really, really complex. Ollie explains it really well when he's talking about it, when he's articulating it. I try to make things as simple as possible for people to understand, because often when things are explained to me, I need it in layman's terms to really help it paint a clear picture. And, that book, when I read it, when I did the Business Brain course, when I first met Ollie, was a transformation for me. So it is an important book, and I think it's a good place, if people haven't read it, for a good place for people to start, but then explore more books, because that's the other thing is, with the digital world is important, but a lot of people therefore forget to stop and read this information. They all want short form writing, which is great, but actually take a moment to really pause and read something longer and see what you actually take from it.
If you were not a coach,
Mhm.
what other career would you have taken
I
to?
know straight away that I'd be a teacher. I think well, a teacher or a politician. And there's two reasons why. One, I think if we can give people, children, the best start, the best environment to learn and to be creative and to, to discover themselves, to take in information and understand it, process it, and then be able to go and put it into something meaningful for them, I'd be happy every single day. The reason I then caveat and say, but a politician, I'm not going to get political, but it's because current politics is breaking our systems and ruin it. We have a Victorian education system. It doesn't work for the modern world. The decisions that are being made at the moment, if you ever tune in to watch the House of Commons during Prime Minister's question times, it is just another soap opera where they are performing to the other person on the other side of the bench, trying to get one up on them. And and I'm going to have to say it, it's bollocks. We need to come together and collaborate. Okay. Because actually, the person on the opposite side of the bench may not fully agree with everything you say, but they may make a valid point, or they may know a lot more about the particular topic you're talking about than you do. So don't be arrogant enough to stand there and say you have all the answers, because you don't. If you were a very good politician or a prime minister, you would say, I don't know the answer to this, but I have a vision of what we should achieve for the country, and let's all come together to find the solution. So I'd probably have to go into politics first to change the systems so I could then go into education and teach the way I'd want to teach.
Incredible. And for Oli, what would you have been if you were not a coach?
I'll give you a short answer. Game show host.
You would have been what?
Game show host.
A game show host. Okay.
Oh, game show host.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Why?
I would love to do that. Just having so much fun and just meeting new people every day and making their day. It'd be really great, wouldn't it? You know? And if not that, probably a personal trainer, I would guess. That would probably be where I'd end up.
Wow. 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 Gentlemen, it's been such an incredible time exchanging these ideas with you. And just before we come to the close of this conversation, is there one advice you would leave for the listener? One thing that can help them begin the necessary shift in their lives? Oli.
Yeah, there's a Walt Disney quote which I love, and he says it's kind of fun to do the impossible. Right? Every day should be celebrated, and we should be doing remarkable things every single day. And if you can do one small thing that leads to another small thing, that accumulative power takes you to a new place. So if you have dreams, don't just sit on a dream, turn it into an outcome, put a plan next to it with a strategy, and do the impossible, because you can.
And Chris?
I think very similar, it sort of links to that, is if you ever find yourself saying you can't do something, just ask yourself the question, how do you know?
I like that. I like that. Now, and if someone, wants to reach out to you both, how would they find you? Where would they find you?
Go on, Chris, you go
Chris?
first.
They can find me on LinkedIn, just by looking for Chris Gault. They can go to the bankofknowledge.co.uk, where they'll find the work I do there. And to be fair, from those two channels, you will find ways of communicating with me, whether it be a phone number, an email address. But I just invite anyone, reach out. If you want to speak to me, if you want to find out, reach out. I love a conversation. I absolutely love a conversation. So if there's a virtual coffee to be had, an in-person coffee to be had, just find me. Most people listening to this will be on LinkedIn, so look me up on LinkedIn. You will find me there.
And Oli,
Yeah, same for
how
me.
would they find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Oliver Thompson. Also my website, oliverthompsontraining.co.uk, and the highperformancesummit.co.uk as well.
Incredible. Thank you, gentlemen, for this awesome time we have spent together. It's been quite enriching and very enlightening. And I hope everything goes well with the summit. And next time, Oli, don't keep it in Spain. Bring the summit over to the UK.
We will.
Not only to the UK, of course, the other parts of the world, because we want to be part of this.
That's the
all
plan.
want to draw from the deep resources your good self and Chris have. We want to draw on that and expand our knowledge.
Brilliant.
And thank you, gentlemen, for coming, and look forward to meeting up again shortly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.